Hello everyone, my name is Angelica and welcome to my channel. Today I have for you two new projects. We are bringing back one of my favorite craft technique, macrame. So let's transform simple cords into stunning home decorations. Let's upcycle this small plastic bucket into a useful and eye-catching piece of decor. I need the walls to be straight, so I remove the top part of my container. At first I cut it off with sharp knife, then straighten it with scissors. You can use any type and thickness of the cord you like. I'm going with 3 mm braided cord. I think this thickness works well with this project. At first, I measure how long pieces I need. Start from the inside all the way down. Then I cut many of them as I will have to cover the whole container. This project is great for using up the leftover pieces of cord. I have almost full bag of these pieces from the same cord. I start gluing them all around my container. You actually don't have to glue so much of them at the bottom. As the container is round, it's hard to keep them so long all the way around. And as you want to completely cover the container, make sure to glue them as close to each other as you can. You need sections of 4 cords, so you need to glue amount of cords which can be divided by 4. Now I need to cut the horizontal cords. Again, I measure it first and then cut plenty of them. Take 4 long pieces of cord and glue them at the bottom of the container's wall, nicely close to each other in the line. Now I have to go with these cords all around the bucket, but I wave it with the vertical cords. Every 4 cords I go under and then above. You can change the amount of cords you are working with. In my opinion, 4 on this thickness of rope looks great. I didn't record how I finished my first row, so let's jump to the second row and I will show you how to do it. My second section of 4 cords I glue straight under the previous row. You always want to put the beginning and end of cords under so they are not noticeable. I wave in my second row, but this time opposite to the first one. If the first row was under the cord, second one will be above. You can already see this beautiful effect it creates. I glue the end next to the beginning of the cords and cut off the excess. After I waved halfway on my container, I realized that the gaps between cords are getting bigger. It wasn't ideal as I could see the bucket. So what I would recommend is to maybe paint it whole at the beginning with white paint. As I couldn't go back, I simply painted the remaining part with masking tape. It worked great and I couldn't see the bucket from underneath the cords. I carry on with the waving all the way to the top. Try to pull the cords as you go for nicer finish. Once I reach the last row, I have to wrap it all around the top part of the bucket. I place some hot glue on the inside wall and attach the cords. As the top is wider than the bottom, I have to add a few additional cords to fully cover this part. For the bottom, I'm gluing this round and thin cork coaster, great for covering all these cords. Inside of my new basket, I will line with piece of fabric. It's an edge of kitchen towel and it fits perfectly. For the bottom, I take another coaster and wrap fabric around it. Great for storing bits and bobs, will also look great as a planter. This project will also work on square items, for example cardboard box. I love creating new coasters. I still use my macrame coasters I've made about 3 years ago. This project is quite easy once you master the one macrame knot. I start with taping wooden dowel to my table. For this project I will use two types of cord, 4mm macrame cord and 5mm jute cord. At first I decide about the size of my coaster. I will need 9 macrame cords. I fold each one in half and attach to the dowel with lark's head knot, always starting from the same direction. I spread them evenly and then measure my jute cord. I will need about 6 times of the cord's width. I place the jute cord under 2 macrame cords and wrap it around to attach it together. I leave some of the yarn to the left and work with the longer part. It goes above to the top, wrapped behind and down. Second loop above the macrame cord, around it and back through the loop. This way you created double half-inch knot. Going next to another 2 macrame cords. Make sure the jute yarn is under it. Loop will always face the direction you are going with your knots. This example, I go with my knots to the right and the loop is facing the right as well. Always pull the knots with the same strength. This way you will create nice and tidy coaster. Once you reach the other end, cut the excess rope off. Next row of double half-inch knots, I start from this side. This way the coaster will hold its shape. Now you can have a closer look at what I'm doing. Five millimeter thick jute yarn is quite stiff, so it's a bit harder to work with it than it would be with same thickness of macrame cord. I've used 10 pieces of cord, creating 20 rows. I remove it from the dowel and undo the lark's head knots. To hide all the cords from the sides, you could wave them in at the back. As this is a thick cord and I don't even have needle with big enough loop, I decided to glue it. I use hot glue and glue them in between the rows so it stays nice and flat. I open up the loops, brush all the cords and trim them to the same length on both sides. I decided to create one more coaster with a little twist. This time I'm using 4mm macrame cord and 2mm jute yarn. As this yarn is more flexible, I decided to continuously wave it in. So instead of cutting it once it reaches the end, I turn it and carry on. Always make sure the jute yarn is under the macrame one. There's a little twist you can apply to this project if you work with very long piece of cord. Instead of pulling its whole length through the loop, you create double loop and pull the macrame cord through it. It's so much easier and quicker. The rest of the project I finished same way as the first coaster. Now you can compare the look when you use different thickness of the cords. It gives a very different finish, but in my opinion they both look great. I hope you enjoyed today's macrame projects. I love this technique and I'm always excited to try out new knots and patterns. I've created playlists for macrame enthusiasts, link down below. Don't forget about the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching and I will see you in my next video.